Good evening. This is Barb Paskin, Ohio, joining you again. I'm going to do another still life. Little different subject. I'll show you in a second. I enjoy working from life. Painting outside is wonderful, but when the weather gets cooler, still lifes are the second thing I enjoy the most. Just working from life is just so great. I am going to paint. I'll swing you around and show you a pair of my husband's boots. I like the character of them. I played around and I think I like this position. They're obviously brown boots. So my goal here will be, of course, the drawing to get it correct and to make them interesting. They're brown boots. I move the light in different places, and as you can see, I've got some highlights here and there. I can see into the boot, which I like. So that's my job as an artist, to try to make them interesting. I like painting shoes. Over the years, I painted a lot of shoes. I tend to paint baby shoes. I bought children's shoes at thrift stores. I just think they're precious. My husband does have a pair of, we call them Beaners, the boots that LL Bean sells, and I painted those for him. A big 16 by 20 actually, which is pretty large for a pair of boots, several years ago, and they were fun to do. Of course, they had a variety of color and textures. With these, obviously, we're looking at, one color. But I've got to squint and look at the values and break up the color. Maybe some cools, even though they're warm. I have to think about it as I go. Let me get you back toward the canvas. This is an 8 by 10. I guess you figured out by now that's probably my favorite size. This is I showed you this one other time. It's called a gessoed artboard by Speedball. I ordered these from Dick Blick, and even though they are gessoed, they're very, very slick. In my opinion, they're almost too slick to paint on as they come. So I put 2 coats of gesso on this, so got a rougher texture. I used a brush to create some texture. So, all right, first thing we're going to do is try to sketch these puppies on. I'm using my view catcher, which I have set to an 8 by 10. This is wonderful. If you don't have one, you need one. I tend to paint on standard sizes. I do 8 by 10s, I do 11 by 14s, 16 by 20s. Those are primarily the sizes I use. I mean, I have painted very large, but not too often. And the format is the same. If you look at this thing, this size says 11 by 14. You flip it around, 8 by 10. So they're the same format, which is kind of nice. All right, I haven't pre-mixed any colors. We're just gonna mix some blue and red together, kind of make a purple. I'm gonna look through here and try to sketch it on my canvas. I decided I like the horizontal composition for the boots. They could be challenging, so I'm going to just I'm going to try to look at the negative shape of them to get them sketched on. We'll see how that goes. Just the outside shape. We'll see what that looks like. Without overthinking them at this point. This would be one that you could do a wash of maybe burnt sienna on here and then get in here and start wiping things out for your lights and darks and mid-value. Okay, I'll look at where the bottom of this one. Try to place them kind of interesting. This one, obviously, we're looking at it at an angle. And do I want to run it off the canvas or not? I have to think about that. Would it be interesting to run the toe off? If I'm not going to run it off, then I should keep it back in here further. I think we'll keep it back. It's fun to Google images and just get on there and see what other people have done. You probably know, if you're an artist, Van Gogh painted a lot of shoes, ugly, worn out boots and shoes. I think they're interesting. I don't know what it is about them. I live in Ohio, and a friend of mine, a very good artist that I'm friends with, Chuck Marshall, he just today he had a DVD released. Check him out. It's for sale. I ordered one. He's painting a landscape, a barn in it. Now this one's foreshortened, so I don't know, he may be more of a challenge. It's one of those things. I'm just going to try to paint what I see. I can actually see the bottom of the sole on that one. Okay, I'm going to look at this a bit and check my drawing a little bit better before we get going, because I'd like not to have to adjust and adjust. But if I have to, I do, And I move the light around to see, I'm not obviously toning the canvas today. But I tried to see what shadows I liked, and all right, let's just look at one boot at a time here. I like that you can see some of the lining inside the boot, kind of a warmer color. I want to welcome you if you're new to my channel, new subscriber. I've had a few new subscribers lately. I really appreciate that. And if you haven't, please consider subscribing, like and subscribe. I always say it, but I'll put a link to my website in the description box if you want to check out more of my work. These are water mixable oils, if you're not aware of that I use. So I'm thinning with a little water. I really like them. They're oils. They paint like oils and dry like oils. But water cleanup, which is really nice, as you can imagine. Sorry, I'm spending a little more time on the drawing, but it's important. Trying to look at let's go over and take a look at this one, try to get the drawing a little. Usually I don't worry a lot about a drawing, but it depends on what the subject is. These are going to have to be right. Got the tongue hanging out on this guy. Might end up running the toe off. I don't know how that would feel if we did. Let me think about that. No, I don't think I want to. So I'm going to take a little water and I'm going to try to wipe some of that off a little bit. I want to pull that back. I don't think I want the toe to run off. So what we'll do, maybe we'll just start at the toe and get the toe on. You know, I don't want it too close to the edge, so maybe that's what we'll start with our drawing and go from there. Kind of makes sense, huh? My husband's an avid hunter and fisherman, so he has a lot of sports things that we could paint, which I do enjoy the kind of rustic subjects, so we may do more of that. I just posted a painting today on my website with a lantern and a duck decoy and an old tobacco can. I set that up and painted that from life. I really was pleased with that. The lantern especially was fun to paint for me. I set that up for my group. I chair a group and I paint with on Monday, and then I paint with a group of ladies on Tuesday during the summer. Really wonderful to be part of a group. If it's possible, when you live in an area where that's available to you, I would really recommend it. Fun and group critiques are just wonderful. You just can't replace that. Okay, what I'm doing, because I'm adjusting this drawing, is as you can see, I'm pulling this boot behind the other one. And I don't have them set up that way. Kind of looking at the negative space. Again, I'm sorry, I'm spending more time on my drawing this time. Okay. If you're a watercolorist, I admire you. You really have to plan things out. I mean, I can obviously move things around. And we got shoelaces, and I did think about, you know, the shoelaces even, you know, I crossed them here. And this one just goes off that way, and I can't really see that one. Like I said, we got a shadow here. What do we think? Like I said, I pulled them together and I didn't really have them that way. Do I like that? But the proportions of this boot, actually the proportions of both aren't bad. You know, the option would be to pull that one over a little bit. We'll think about that. I think we'll go ahead and move on. I'm going to get a palette knife and I'm going to just mix up some brown tones. Hope you can hear me okay. Let me move you a little bit. All right, we're just going to mix up some brown tones. I'm going to start with transparent red oxide. Love that color. I use a pretty limited palette though, two warm and cool of each primary, blue, yellow, red, And then I have transparent red oxide on here and Indian yellow. So those are the two that are extras. Okay, so we'll take some of this transparent red oxide and we'll put some blue into it to darken it for the dark areas of the boot that I see. Like I said, we're going to have to get creative with this and make these interesting. Maybe even, you know, put some cools on there. When I paint a lot of animal portraits. That's kind of my thing, I guess. And when I do a black animal, for example, you've got to put warms and cools in there to make him interesting and explain the structure of the dog, and even if you don't see them. So these boots are kind of like that, you know, it's like a big brown dog here. So I'm going to even mix up some orange. Just going to do a variety of warm tones. All right, let's just get started. My brushes are Rosemary. They come from the UK. I'll show you one here. Rosemary and Company. And this is the Evergreen series, which is a pretty soft brush. I've been using those for a while. I did use their Ivory series for a while. Matter of fact, if you look at some of my older videos, you can hear them. They're more like a bristle, and they are rough. All right, we're going to block in the darks where we see them. I just kind of think of painting like doing a puzzle. I mean, just put in the pieces. That's how I do my animal portraits. People that don't paint or don't get the opportunity to see people paint, I'm sure, like I paint outside sometimes, and I'm sure people are shocked sometimes when they see the mess that we have going in the beginning. And that's how it is, you know. Darker back in there. Yeah, I really feel like I want to pull this boot over. So all that drawing, and I still am going to shift things around. I want that space, I think, between them, so we'll be pulling this over. So I think we'll primarily work on this one boot for now. Best laid plans, right? Okay. That's most of the darks that I see. There really aren't a lot. So let's go kind of mid-value and step it up a little bit. Try to get some of those in. Now, this is a lot of transparent red oxide. I think it's too vibrant. I mean, I think some places that might be nice to give it that rich look, but not for everywhere. It's going to be tricky, isn't it? And I could just very quickly, which, you know, might be a way to go, block in the body of the boot and then start making decisions on light and cool. And don't know if you're a fan of Helen Van Wyck, She's deceased, but there are some YouTube videos of her. I really liked her. She used to paint on PBS. She had a series. But that's kind of how she would work. She would just block in the shape very quickly, and then come back in with the darks and the lights. And she was interesting. She was good. She was kind of fearless. You know, and I don't know how picky I'll get with detail. The sole of the boot's down here, actually. Comes across there. And the highlights on the boot, they're obviously warmer. Play around here, throw a little yellow in the mixture and see what that does. I mean, it's really too soon for the highlights, but I'm just kind of playing around as I go and seeing. That's that crazy tongue hanging out. Inside the boots are a more yellow kind of color. Of course, this one on the right isn't catching much light, so the one on the left has got some nice light inside of it. Sorry, I scooted you. Trying to squint and look at value, like I say, and see what I'm seeing. If you've never checked out any of Van Gogh's shoes that he's painted, you should do that. Just Google images, and I don't like all of his things. You know, a lot of his work, you know, he obviously was mentally ill, and a lot of his stuff to me looks that way. I do like a lot of his things, but I saw an exhibit here in Cincinnati several years ago, and they had a lot of his work, and they weren't signed, which unfortunately, but they had about 6 of his pieces, and I didn't really care for any of those. I admire, my gosh, he was obsessed, wasn't he? I read a book here recently on him, someone recommended on Facebook. Trying to remember the name of it. Huge book. And when I have loaned it out to people, they end up returning it to me. They just can't commit to reading it. But it was an interesting read. I felt very sorry for him early on. His parents put him into a boarding school when he was young, and kind of sad. There was a lot of sadness in his life. He wanted really bad to be a portrait painter, but he just wasn't very good at it. Though I say that, but I do like some of his portraits. But he went into school for a while, and they rejected him. So I'll let you know the name of it another time, show it to you. Like I said, an interesting read. And I don't think he shot himself. That's my feelings on the way it ended. He, though people say he did, he had a lot of kids that hung around him. And one guy carried a gun. He never owned any guns, they said, or carried any guns, but the kids made fun of him, and I mean, because he must have been an unusual person. And I am not so sure that young man didn't maybe accidentally shoot him, because they said when he came back and he, you know, had the gunshot, they said, "You've shot yourself." And I think his reply was something like, I guess I have, or something like that. So, I don't know. Not so sure he did it. That's just my feeling. This is kind of a crazy subject. I'm just keep moving forward and looking at things, and across the toe here, as you would expect, it's catching more light. Probably doesn't even feel like a boot to you at this point, does it? That's okay. Nice dark under there. Using the same brush. I'm not really cleaning it up at this point. Alright, let's move on to the other boot. And like I said, I want to push it over. I don't want it right next to that one where it ended up. So I'm kind of resketching it. Pulling it over. If you're an artist, I've said this before, but feel free to leave me your website and I'll check you out. I just kind of thinned down the paint, so I'm just kind of sketching with paint right now. And I'm blocking in the whole thing. This one's foreshortened, so hopefully it'll come out feeling correct. All right, now a lot of more fun applications of paint and color may come toward the end when we figure out what we need. Been raining all day here. Normally the Saturday before Halloween I'm at my daughter's. She has a huge Halloween party and she unfortunately had to cancel it this year. I mean, it's a big party. They put up tents, they rent bouncy houses, we cook chili, we project movies, they have a haunted walk. It's a big party. It's really fun. They'd been working on the haunted trail for 6 weeks, so I felt really bad for them that they had to cancel it. We make chili, I make the hot chili, and so we have all different kinds of chili. I mean, it's just everything you would want at a Halloween party. It's really fun. But you're at the mercy of the weather, like with everything. It's that way with outdoor shows too. I don't do any outdoor shows. I have friends that do, and you know, all that planning, and then you get one chance and then it rains and you're done. I'd say I don't do them. I have done them, but just a few over the years. Do like another shot. Let me give you another view of the setup. I haven't done that in a while. Swing you around and down. See, the boots are apart, so I'm pulling them apart. Yeah, we'll see. This toe kind of flips up, and I don't really have that yet, so we'll have to work to get that. All right, let me bring you back. I'm getting better at this. I've learned not to move the whole easel. I'm getting better, I think. Hopefully the sound's a lot better now with the microphone. Hopefully I haven't upset anybody enough that they haven't come back. You know, I'm sure not a professional. I'm just having fun with this. Like on this edge here, this is really intensely lit, so I may need to get out some more transparent red oxide. That seems to be the color of the day here. I really like that color. I don't know if you use it or not on your palette. I'm playing around with just all warm tones for now, trying to get the drawing in. Should be working on dog commissions right now. I've got 2 that are close to being finished and 2 I need to start. Don't know if I'll paint those or not online. Maybe. The toe of this is really light to there. To there. Did you catch that? And underneath here, I can see part of the bottom of it. And darker as it goes under. And then I think some light's coming up from the table, lighting up the bottom of it. And then there's a shadow under the toe. Starting to feel like boots, I think. What do you think? Darker over here, where it's away from the light. And when I put that the background color on, I'll be able to redefine these edges and I'm just going to take, I'm debating here. I've got a stylus in here. I think I'm just going to mark the holes for now where I see them. And some of them, what I'm really seeing is the eyelet, like just there a little bit, and there. And kind of see one there. Okay, I need to clean up some shapes. Wait a minute before I get over into there. Okay, let's mark those in. One up there. Let's see, let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I just need to shift these a little bit. Yeah. And on the other side, I can't really, I can see one here, which is kind of fun because I can see through it. I think what we'll do is let me not get ahead of myself here. I don't want to really start putting in that little detail till I'm ready for it. So let's see what we need to do first, color-wise and value-wise. This one over here is pretty lit. And in there. Yeah, I don't want to get ahead of myself and start putting in eyelets. I don't think we're really ready for that kind of detail yet. Got some of that blue there from when we did our sketch, and I like it. So can you see it from where you are? I don't know. Anyway, some of that original blue is still showing there. There's all kinds of stitching and stuff on these, so we'll have to decide what's important. lines of stitching running up there, so I'm kind of suggesting it. That's catching some light. This over here is catching a little bit. It's interesting to do something. I've done, like I said, I've done a lot of shoes, but I've never done these boots, and it's interesting to really, really look at something like this, you know. This part's catching a lot of light. I think I can hear it raining outside right now. We needed the rain, so if it's going to cancel our party, I just soon it rain, rain, rain. Trying to get pretty light. Some of those places that I'm not getting there. Let's see. Maybe we'll go a little cooler in light. Let's see what that stands out. It should. Let's try that. There's some places that are just, they're almost sparkle. Some of those down in there. Just the texture of the boot, you know, reflecting light. Not a lot. What I'm going to do is take a liner brush, get a little guy out to do some of these places. I'll just show you, like in here. Okay, kicked it up a little bit. I got that pretty good down through there. You know, and they're stitching, and you know, how important is that? I don't know. You know, this is an for me, I'm impressionistic, and this is an impression of the boots. So lost our hole up here, but the light's kind of shining around that hole. Same here. We'll see if we like that, I don't know. Well, let's put in some of those eyelets. We're just going to go yellow and white with that. Some are more intense than others, and some of them, just part of them, are standing out. But it's mixing in, you know, with the brown underneath, so not going to be too bright, is it? And again, we'll be making a gray for the background, and this one right here, you're just really seeing through it, so we'll have to play with that. And more of the detail. Let's mix up a gray for the background. I like, you've figured that out probably by now, but I like gray backgrounds. It really makes more saturated colors pop. I mean, this is a warm subject. We could go with a grayed blue background. That would be nice too. So, you know, maybe even the gray that we're mixing up, we'll keep it more a cool gray. For now, I'm just taking the 3 primaries, making a green and a blue and yellow, and I'm throwing in red. And throwing white in. And right now I've got a warm gray, so we'll throw more blue in it. So yeah, I definitely going for a kind of grayed blue color. I think that might be nice with all the warm colors. Let's get a shadow in before we get going here. Again, there's a shadow under here, and it runs right up to the sole. We'll introduce that highlight again, probably under the bottom of that sole. And I didn't very successfully separate these like I intended, did I? Bring that toe up, feels a little short. We got shoelaces to do, obviously. Let me send this down a little bit and we'll get some of this shadow back here. I said this might have been a good one to just put a wash on the background of maybe burnt sienna and then white out to get the boots. Let's start working into that with our background color. I'm going to take a palette knife and just get some on the canvas. Maybe want to even go lighter with some of that. I want the boots to stand out, so and I'm going to put the laces in last, so we're kind of covering that up. Getting some paint on here so we got something to push around. Alright, we'll get our brush in here. I'm going to get a bigger brush. It's a rosemary also, a little bit bigger. See how we are on time. That's just been an hour. That's not too bad. I figure if we get them done in an hour and a half, that's not bad. You know, just don't watch it all at one time if it's too much for you. Put a little water in this to get it to move around. Alright, now as we do this, I'm going to try to look at some of these shapes. The boot comes out and then kind of goes in, and the shadow actually is more over here. And I kind of like that you can kind of see in the shadow those little notched out areas that's in the sole. You see one over there too. I think little detail, even though I'm not a detail person, so to speak, I think little things like that can be fun. Like when you paint a metal roof on a barn, if you just do some of the detail on the roof where it's corrugated metal, and not the whole thing because I think that's too much, but just suggest some areas where you can tell that it's a corrugated roof. I think that can be really interesting. Alright, we'll get over into here and now we'll look at this. That shadow runs in like that. This part of the sole's up off the table. We're going to keep it dark up in those notches. Kind of a nice gray, isn't it? I don't see anything wrong with using, you know, tube greens and whatever works for you. But I think if you're learning and you're new to it, I would stay away from them for a while. Learn to mix color. I just never, I don't want to say never, I have some tube greens. I just rarely use them. I make my own greens. And I think your greens are more consistent when you do that. Alright, let's look at the shape of things here. I may have to pull some stuff out once we get this background in. I always feel like once the canvas is covered, that's when we can start refining things. Like we may be bringing that, let me look at that, we may be bringing that boot up a little higher. I actually think we need to, so we'll just leave that off of there. Let's see. Down in, and the tongue comes up. Yeah, we'll just kind of leave that like that. And they're apart a little. Still not what I intended. Shouldn't admit it, but should I? I always joke about if something doesn't work out, then you say it was for practice, but if it comes out, then you say I meant to do that. Like I meant to push those boots closer together. We know I did. It's just so challenging, isn't it, painting? I just love it. Looking at my shapes here. All right, canvas is covered. So let's start looking at things now. Well, you know, it is what it is. Those are closer together than I intended, but not completely together. All right, let's look at, I left this space here to move some things up. That's the tongue. Okay, underneath here is some reflected light, so let's put that in. Oops. laces aren't in every hole, so these where they're not in there should be darker in the inside. And I see, not, don't want to get too picky, but I do see it, a little bit of dark shape around the eyelets. Okay. I'm going to take some of that gray color that, excuse me, that we used on the background and put that in that hole right here. It's really the only one I can see. All right, let's think about some shoelaces now. I think what we'll do, excuse me, we'll take our stylus again and we'll mark those in, I think. Now I just scratch that. Okay, from the third hole, comes down across the boot, like that. Obviously much fatter. Directly across. That guy goes off, and I can't really see the other one. And then they crisscross. Let me think about how they look here. This one comes out and goes back in. Under and over. Something like that. And the laces, as I'm looking at them, they're darker. So we'll take some ultramarine, some transparent red oxide. But they're not, I have to look at what I've got there. Like this one is much darker. It's over here in the shadow. Part way anyway. Okay. I want to lighten them up a little bit where they're more in the light. Using a fairly big brush. This one is in the light. But I kind of lost it in there, and I want to be able to see it, so trying to get a little darker. And as you can see, I'm using a pretty big brush to do this. Just following the lines that I scratched in. Try to brighten that up a little bit. These places that have the blue highlights on them, you know, they're actually like little dots of light because that's the texture of the boot. You know, I'm just looking at them, seeing that. I don't know if that matters or not. There's a lot of glare on this. I lowered it a little bit to help with the glare. All right, what bothers me? Getting toward the end here, I've got everything blocked in. Looking at some of these dark shapes again. Very important. It helps with the glare, you know, if you brush down on your strokes. Hour and 20 minutes. We'll run that shadow off. Trying to see what I'm not understanding as I look around. We're going to lighten that sole up a little bit so it stands out from that shadow right there. I don't know if it looks that way to you. Like I said, I like the little indentations in the sole. And I've got them, I don't know if you see them or not. I can see them in the shadow here. Let's clean that one up. There's one there, kind of interesting, I think. Sometimes it's funny, certain things are your favorite part of the painting that you wouldn't expect. That's it for me right there. I like that part. Okay. All right, we may just about call it here. Gonna lost that light there. Just hitting a few things where I see it. A little light there. I didn't work at all, did it? A little light there. You know, the eyelids, I mean, it could have went in last, who's to say, you know. All right, we're gonna call it. Kind of like it. I see a few things maybe. There's always a few things, aren't there? I see a little more warmth in here. A little more light on the toe there. Pretty challenging, I think. Well, I think I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, like I said, I ended up pulling them closer together than I intended, but I don't think that matters. We're going to go ahead, can you see? Go ahead and sign this thing. Find me on Facebook if you would, Barbara Pask Fine Art. Like and subscribe, please. I'm seeing one more thing. I just feel like this is just too much down here. Shadows should feel transparent. And I think this feels just a little more like a object than a shadow. So I thinned it out a little bit. All right, I'm going to show it to you. Even though I signed it, you know how that goes. You may or may not be done. Let's see if I can get myself out of here. Hang on. Now I'll get you in front of it. You can take a look at it. There they are. Gnarly boots. Like I said, some of these strokes I may end up pulling down so they're not catching so much light. Okay, and there's the boots again. It was fun. I mean, they were warm, but we had to do some varieties in the browns, and yeah, I think I like them. I think, like I said, you know how it goes. I'll probably end up playing around with them a little bit. So, hour and 25 minutes. Not too bad. Like and subscribe, please. I would appreciate that. Check out the link below for my website, and check out some more of my work if you would. And we'll do this again soon. All right, you have a nice night. Bye-bye.